Well, it depends. Let's take a look at some of the possible price outcomes and see what's going to be available for you. Listing my property on Trade Me as a private sale. The price wouldn't be far off what they have found online. You know how I mentioned earlier about those online valuation websites? That's what these guys are looking at. Heavily dependent on how skilled of a negotiator you are. You are the last man standing. It is up to you to negotiate the best price when selling your property privately on Trade Me. Letting the market decide based on what they've seen in the marketplace, the other open homes that they've been to, and the other properties that they've been exposed to. They're going to look at your property and they're going to weigh it up against the others that they've seen. Expect a minimum of 10% less than what you're asking. Now, this is something you want to take into consideration when you're first evaluating the price you want to sell it for. Now, in terms of time frame, when selling your property on Trade Me, expect a minimum of 3 to 4 weeks for due diligence, for buyers to organise their finance, their insurance, the LIM report, before they confirm. So it could be 4 weeks of conditions and it could be another 4 to 8 weeks before a settlement. So let's say it takes 3 months from signing up an offer to settling your property when selling on Trade Me. Now that's just a generalization. It could be shorter, it could be longer, but I just want to give you an idea as to what to expect. Selling through a real estate agent. Okay, now let's talk about selling through a real estate agent. What price would you expect to receive when selling through an agent? Now the price is going to be exactly what the market's prepared to pay. A real estate agent will provide you with a CMA, which will give you a rough indication of what your property may achieve on the market. Usually with a best case and worst case scenario. On occasion, through a real estate agent, this is your best possible outcome. You'll receive a unicorn buyer. A unicorn buyer is someone who absolutely must buy the property, whether they're emotionally attached to it or it's part of an investment that they've been looking to add on to. These people are willing to pay 20 to 30% more than what you're asking. Time frame. So the process of selling through a real estate agent can be quite a long process. It's going to take 1 to 2 weeks to get prepared before you even go to market. Then your marketing campaign, that's going to be a minimum of 4 weeks, a whole month. Could be a little bit longer, might be a little bit shorter. Now once all your offers have come in or the auction has happened, then you have to wait for the buyer to be unconditional, which could be another 10 days, and then following that, your settlement date. So what are we talking here? Let's say on average, it could take anywhere from 8 to 10 weeks to sell your property through a real estate agent. That's from start to finish. Selling directly to a family, friend, or your neighbor. So your price. Typically, take your current market value less your agent's fees. Agent's fees can be anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 depending on the value of your property. You're going to expect softer values because there's less negotiating between friends, family members, and neighbors. Now the time frame could be 4 weeks. It could be longer, it could be less, but if your neighbor's serious, they got some money ready to go, they can make things happen quite quickly, just based on what we've seen in the market. Okay, how much money are you expected to receive when selling to a developer? For development land, it's going to be entirely dependent on your land zoning, whether it's medium or high density zoning, based on how many properties can they build, or what value can they maximize from that site. So it could be a square meter rate, or they might take the land value. So what's the land value? Less the demolition costs. That's another way a developer could determine the value or offer on your property. Or a developer may use a land multiplier. So they're going to take the square meterage of your land and multiply it by X. Now that depends on what zoning your land is. So how do I find out X? X equals the per square meter rate that developers apply to certain areas, like I said, dependent on the zoning, depending on what they can do to your property. You can find this out by looking at recent sales or speaking to experienced real estate agents that will be able to provide you with up-to-date per square meter rates that developers are paying in your area. Now what about the time frame? So you're looking from 8 weeks plus. Long settlements. Developers are notorious. They love a long settlement because this allows them time to begin the resource consent process through the local council so they can get everything in order before they settle their property and they can start work right away. All right, what about getting an offer from a private house buying company? Now they're going to make an offer that's going to suit your situation. They could be in a position where they can offer you cash without any conditions. These buyers have a construction background. They will not be worried about deferred maintenance or building issues. Private buyers look at properties for various different reasons, which results in a different pricing structure. So for a flip, we take our after repair value, less the renovations, less the margin, that's going to get you your offer. For a hold strategy, this is like a rental property, a buy, fix and hold. You take your annual rental income divided by the buyer's expected rent return, let's say 5 to 8%, depending on the area, that will equal your offer. Or if it's a trade, take the current value of your property, less 10 to 20% of its value, less margin, that will determine your offer. The time frame for selling through a private buyer could literally be 24 hours to even a week, or even up to 6 months. But most of the time, it's entirely up to you, whether you want a longer settlement or you want it settled yesterday.